Should I buy a house in Florida? Should I move to Florida? This is what clients ask me all the time when they're considering relocating to Florida or buying for the first time in Florida. So let's talk about it. My name is Lauren Eldaher. I'm a realtor and an attorney in South Florida. Do me a favor and like this video. It really helps me out, and subscribe if you like hearing about all things Florida and real estate. So I'm about to answer your question of whether or not you should buy a house in Florida in a very lawyery way. One of the first things you learn in law school is that the answer is always, it depends. My professors would always ask me yes or no questions, and I would go into full panic mode and have no idea what the answer was, and in the end, there was no right answer. It's really annoying.
Order! Knock it off! Sit down!
The other thing they'll do is answer your question with a question, and I'm gonna do that too.
Do I dare ask you to call your next witness?
Should you buy a house in Florida? Well, my answer is, can you afford it? People always say yes, they can afford it, but for different reasons. One, we don't like to admit when we can't afford things. And two, they don't actually know what they can afford. So let's go through a few exercises to make sure you understand what you can afford or not. First of all, consider the price of real estate in whatever part of Florida you're trying to move to. Compare it to where you're coming from, because depending on where you're coming from, it might be really different. In a lot of places in the country, you can get a solid 3-bedroom, 2-bath starter home for $300,000. But South Florida just is not one of those places. So sometimes people tell me, yes, I can afford it, but they can't actually afford it because they're comparing it to where they're coming from. Or vice versa. You might be coming from a super expensive place and get more for your money here, but then in that case, we've got some other things to talk about too. You think you can afford a home because you are shopping based on the price of the home, maybe the price of what you own in another state, but that's not the actual mortgage payment. Your mortgage payment is made up of principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, so you might be way off on what the amount is that you're going to be paying because you've been playing with calculators online and not accounting for Florida taxes and Florida insurance. Google has a calculator, Zillow, Redfin, all of them, but they rarely accurately predict your home insurance and Florida taxes, which I talk about more in some other videos. But if those two numbers are off, you're going to be way off on your affordability. For insurance, I think Florida is in the top 3 most expensive states. So depending on where you're coming from, it's safe to say it's going to be higher than where you're living now. Or if you're buying a home for the first time and you're playing with calculators online or looking at average cost of home insurance, you're going to be off. For taxes, keep in mind that Florida has homestead exemptions, which means that the assessed value of your property can't go up more than 3% year over year. So if there's someone living in the home that you're purchasing who has homesteaded the house, they've been there a long time, and you're calculating your monthly payment based on what their taxes are, you're going to be off. It might be way more when you buy the house and the home is reassessed. So, should you buy a home in Florida? Of course.
Jordan fades back, swoosh, and that's the game! Nothing further, Your Honor.
Florida is great, it's beautiful, I love it. So my answer is yes, as long as you can afford it. There are a lot of things that affect affordability and what you can get in different locations. So give me a call if you want to work out these details, and we can decide if you should or should not buy a home in Florida.